By March 2026, the Middle East had plunged into a multi-theater regional war. For the first time, long-range missiles were striking directly into the civilian and energy centers of previously secure Gulf nations. To understand how the entire region caught fire, we have to rewind to October 7, 2023. Hamas, the militant group controlling the Gaza Strip, launched a massive surprise attack into Israel, killing 1,195 people, the majority of them civilians. Militants dragged roughly 250 hostages back across the border. In immediate response, Israel launched the Iron Swords War, a full-scale campaign of continuous airstrikes followed by a massive ground invasion into Gaza. Early on, international observers treated this as a localized, geographically contained conflict. That assumption ignored the deeply connected network of military alliances spanning the entire region. The sheer scale of the destruction inside Gaza broke modern records. By early 2026, the Gaza Health Ministry reported over 75,000 Palestinians killed, with independent scholars estimating that 80% of those casualties were civilians. This chart shows the complete economic collapse of the territory. Unemployment reached 80%, and per capita GDP plummeted to just $161 per year. As medical systems failed and civilians faced starvation, Israel introduced strict new registration processes that threatened to shut down dozens of international NGOs. The United Nations launched a $4.06 billion humanitarian appeal to keep basic survival services running. Meanwhile, in the physically separate territory of the West Bank, violence surged. Settler attacks averaged 5 per day. Over 1,000 Palestinians were killed in 2025 alone, and the UN recorded the highest level of Israeli settlement construction in history. The duration and severity of the devastation in Gaza created an immense regional pressure cooker. Neighboring militant groups, bound by shared ideologies and funding, were drawn off the sidelines and directly into the fight. This map shows Iran's axis of resistance. Tehran had spent decades building this network of allied militias across Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, and Yemen to divide the military attention of Israel and the United States across multiple fronts. In the north, the Lebanese militia Hezbollah began firing rockets into Israel immediately after October 7th. Down south, the Houthis, an armed rebel group controlling northern Yemen, launched 150 attacks on commercial ships in the Red Sea, heavily disrupting the route that carries 12% of the world's trade. By late 2024, the strategic map shifted drastically. Israel invaded southern Lebanon and eliminated Hezbollah's longtime leader, Hassan Nasrallah. Almost simultaneously, the Iranian-backed Assad regime in Syria collapsed under pressure from rebel forces, severing a critical link in Tehran's network. After 2 years of fighting, the Trump administration brokered what they called the Comprehensive Plan to End the Gaza Conflict in October 2025. It secured a temporary pause, allowing for the return of virtually all living hostages in exchange for Palestinian detainees. But the second phase of that agreement failed to materialize. Hamas refused the core demand to disarm, and Israel maintained military control over roughly 55% of Gaza's territory, delaying any further troop withdrawals. The ceasefire held, but it wasn't a resolution. Instead, it provided a strategic pause, allowing Washington and Jerusalem to redirect their combined military focus toward the primary architect of the proxy network, Iran. On February 28, 2026, the U.S. and Israel executed a massive military campaign directly on Iranian soil, striking 26 of 31 provinces. During these bombardments, Israeli strikes achieved their ultimate stated goal, eliminating dozens of senior military figures and killing Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. The assassination instantly shattered the northern ceasefire. Hezbollah launched drones and missiles at Israeli military bases on March 2nd, restarting the Lebanon war. But the true escalation came from Tehran itself. Iran retaliated by launching direct missile and drone attacks against all 6 countries in the Gulf Cooperation Council, or GCC, a political and economic alliance of Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. They targeted airports, energy facilities, and civilian centers. Decades of unspoken rules governing proxy warfare dissolved overnight. The Persian Gulf, largely insulated from direct Iranian fire for generations, was now the center of a hot war. By attacking Gulf infrastructure, Iran endangered vital oil supply lines, sending energy markets into volatility. This hits India hard. 9 million Indian citizens live in the Gulf, leaving their safety and remittances vulnerable. Furthermore, the conflict stalls the India-Middle East-Europe economic corridor. The diplomatic fallout is also redrawing global alliances. Nations across Africa, Latin America, and Asia have heavily criticized the civilian death toll, while the International Court of Justice, the UN's highest court, weighs formal charges of genocide regarding the operations in Gaza. Analysts now project two main paths for the remainder of 2026. Either the region settles into a prolonged, unstable, low-intensity conflict, or the violence fully consumes the Middle East, spiking oil prices and triggering a global recession. What began as a localized attack on an October morning has now ballooned far beyond its original borders. It stands as a stark lesson in how modern conflicts refuse to be contained, pulling in global superpowers and threatening the economic stability of the entire world.